were kind enough to send me over a pair of their new Axon studio monitors. These are powered monitors, very compact, very well priced. These are going to be fantastic if you're looking for an affordable and compact set of powered monitors to play your guitar modeling rig or VST-based rig with. Furthermore, if you're somebody who's mixing music or making music on the go, I think you're going to be very into these, especially at the price point that they're offered at. Let's take a look at what you get in the package. Then we'll have a look at a couple of different scenarios that I've found myself using them while I've been testing these out. The monitors come with their own carry bag, which I find very convenient. It's got a shoulder strap and a handle on here, as well as some storage on the side. If we open it up, you can see you've got space for your 2 monitors and the associated power supply and a cable in here. Let's take these out. So we've got a power supply, we've got a speaker connect cable, and it does come with a USB-C to USB-A connection on here. You've also got these magnetic feet on the speakers, which we'll look at in a second. So that's what we're looking at. There's this little detachment on here. So if you wanted to, say, pole mount them, there is a connection in there. If you wanted to sit them up on your desk at an angle, you can have the option of having that little magnetic attachment here or just setting them flat. This is going to be the unpowered speaker, and then we've got the powered one over here that's going to drive everything. So let's take a look at the connections. You've got a volume control up here. One thing I like is that this is indented in the middle, so you can zero it out. You've got your Bluetooth connect button on here. So one nice thing about these is you can use them without any of these other inputs on here. If you just wanted to run audio from your phone straight to the speakers, you can do that. There's also a USB-C connection. So say you connect this to your laptop or your computer and you just want to do a mix, you don't want to play guitar or anything like that through them, you can do that. There's your speaker connect and your power supply input. There is a stereo 1/8 inch auxiliary in. There's an RCA input, there's 1/4 inch inputs, and then you've got your power on and off over here. So a couple of scenarios I want to go through very quickly. The first one is going to be using Bluetooth purely for audio playback and listening to music. Then we'll try the USB-C connection to my laptop just so I can play back some audio. Then we'll plug these 1/4 inch inputs into one of my modelers and I'll riff out on some guitar. This isn't a perspective that you see much on the channel, but this desk is where I live most of my life. I've got the monitors on my desk with a little magnetic feet set up, and currently the little status light on the powered monitor is glowing green. What I'm going to do is press the little Bluetooth button on the back. Now it is glowing blue, and you just heard the little connection noise there because I'm now connected to my phone's Bluetooth connection. I can play back some audio. No cabling required. That is disgustingly loud for how big those are on there. I like the low end response on there. You could hear plenty of that dirty bass guitar at the start. I mean, I'm used to referencing things on my Atom A7Xs, which are a much larger ported design on there. These are obviously a much smaller speaker on there, but they are putting out more than enough for me to jam along and have a good time with something like that. The next connection I want to test is just a single USB-C cable on there. So again, not using any of the analog connections. Let's see if I can play back some music from my computer. Okay, I've got a single USB-C cable going. Now that I've got that set up, all I have to do, because I'm using a Mac, is to set the speakers as my audio playback device. Then I can hit play and go. Easy to set up on there. There's also the free Axon software on here, which you can use for some EQ correction. It comes with a bunch of different presets, which I just rolled through on there. The default one is a desktop one with a little bit of a low cut around 160 Hertz. But if you were using this as a playback system for guitar where you wanted it flat, you can do that. If you wanted to use it for your home media or music playback or listening to vinyl, there's some presets in there for that. You can also just EQ it however you like. So if you had another measurement software that could give you a bunch of readouts, you could plug those into the software on there, which I really like that flexibility. Furthermore, you can use the app either on your computer via Bluetooth or with the wired connection, or you can run it on your mobile device as well. So for the price they're asking here, already these features are pretty impressive. The fact that they don't sound like absolute garbage is really nice as well. There's some really nice detailed low-end response on there. Let's play guitar through these things now. All right, I've got my Axe effects plugged into the Axon monitors. I have the software EQ correction disabled on the Axon. Let's just have a listen to it. I might kick on the desktop EQ correction on here just to carve out a little bit of extra low end, but I've got my main lead sound on here with a nice stereo delay and all the gain. Like the way those sound. They obviously sound very different to my Atoms. I'll give you a very quick comparison in a second. Also, the built-in DSP on there isn't adding an insane amount of latency on there, so I can definitely play my guitar and it still feels like I'm playing guitar on there. Sometimes with these sort of solutions where you have multiple layers of digital latency adding up, by the time you get to the DSP section of the monitors, they can be adding too much latency on there to make the playing experience pretty unenjoyable. But this particular setup feels really good. Let's hear them and then let's hear the Atoms. Now, given the price differential on here, this is in no way a fair comparison. The Atoms have loads more detail in the high end. The low end is much more controlled and articulate. I find though, if I take the Axons and crank up the high end a little bit, it gets a little bit closer on there. Generally, they're a much smoother sounding speaker than the Atoms. I've also got them mounted in different places, and again, very different price points and power ratings on them. But playing through the Axons is in no means an unpleasant experience on there. In fact, for something that you can put in a carry bag and carry around, it's totally acceptable. And this is one of the things where I've got a really great setup. You know, I've built this over years and years, but having an alternate set of monitors to check tones and mixes on is always very handy. Furthermore, it's easy enough to take these into the kitchen and we can have a kitchen jam. I really do want to turn this kitchen jams into a series at some point, and I'm super stoked with the little setup I've got here. I've got my Strat plugged into this little Fender Link IO audio interface. That's going via a USB-C cable, which is also powering the interface, into my laptop. I've got the Neural DSP Nolly X plugin loaded up. I'm taking a single USB-C cable from the laptop to the powered studio monitors, and I've got my guitar sound. And then of course I can play back a backing track and just have a jam over it. In fact, I'm going to do that to play everybody out. Whether you're somebody who wants to get your first set of monitors so that you can do some mixing, a guitar player who wants to be able to play through their compact modeler rig without spending a whole bunch of money, if you want an alternate set of monitors to check mixes on, or if you're just somebody who wants to play back music easily, I think these are well worth checking out. I'll put a link in the video description. A big thank you to the entire NUX team for getting me these so that I could make some noise with them. Let's have a kitchen jam.